Hi everybody, it's me, and it's sad that we're not together at school, but hoping you're all doing okay. Maybe you heard the door slam. It's a sign of how my morning is going, so it's great to talk to all of you. Just as we've moved through this new kind of situation with distance learning, we're learning a lot. We've heard so many positive comments from families, and so thank you for all the incredible work you're doing. I know for plenty of you that this has meant longer days than what you're used to when you're actually in the classroom working with kids and then grading in the evenings. So we just want to say thank you and want you to know that it is noticed, and we are just incredibly grateful. We're also praying that as we get better at this with time, that this becomes something that becomes easier for you. With that being said, we also want to just share some things that we feel like would be timely that we all need to be aware of moving forward and just keep in mind. So first of all, love to have a chance for the middle school staff to get together next week someday on Google Meet. I'll send a note out about that so that we can do that and just share how it's going, unless we're able to meet at school for those that would like to, and to share ideas. A couple other things that are timely to talk about is just that please know that we are here to help each other, but don't be afraid to say, I'm exhausted, I can't do this. Give me some ideas, because I think some of us are burning the candle at both ends and trying to homeschool our own kids, which is a challenge. We also just need to be sensitive to the real issues that are going on in homes. The stress of maybe potentially losing income, they're working from home, they're trying to homeschool their own kids and manage that education. Some are trying to figure out, what would a routine look like? How do I work with a kid who's super anxious about the world around them, as well as trying to get their work done? Some of us are going to assume that some kids are just slacking off, and that could be true of some, but there are a lot of families that I know are working together on schoolwork, and it is taking all day long, and that is not our intention either, but it's very hard to know what that looks like for each family and each kid. So don't be afraid to take a step back in light of parent demands right now, and just be sensitive to that moving forward. I think some reminders that are timely are that less is more. We are not asking you to give the same amount of work or teach the same amount as what we were before. We want to still give them a solid education that is Christian and weaving the biblical truths in, but we also need to recognize that we're not going to do this the same way. So pick and choose what you're teaching and be okay with leaving some of it out. And be reminded that we can't give the same amount of work as we did when we were in school. So a couple of specific things around workload and tests and quizzes. We're going to ask that you leave your tests and quizzes open for a longer period of time if you're giving some. One of the struggles is that we've got kids that are not necessarily even made it to your class yet on a Tuesday, and the window's already been closed for that grade. So with that being said, we need you to leave them open longer. We're going to ask that you only test what you legitimately taught. So that might mean, a really awesome test you've made in the past, you might need to alter it slightly. And we don't want to make more work for you in that, but be okay with crossing out sections. If we can access information with projects instead of tests, I think that's a great idea. Having a student just send you on a Google Doc, write me everything you learned, and grade that for credit. Have them build you something as a family to show what they learned in a unit with what they have around the house. I think that is a great opportunity for families to come together on this, and we don't want it to be just another thing to pile on. It needs to be in place of something. So really think about how we can replace other content. so that it doesn't continue to pile on. We need to provide time for families and students to establish a new routine, because this is hard on everyone, and we're going to talk more about that at the end of my video. But also, the due dates, we had said, we'd gone back and forth, do we have everything due at the same time at the end of the week? Do we do due dates? We've tried it for a week, and it might not be popular for everybody, and I apologize, and we can revisit this in a week or two. But if we're going to keep going down this road, especially right now at the beginning, I'm gonna ask that all due dates, for the most part, are gonna be due on Saturdays at midnight. And the reason for that is right now the parents are getting used to using Schoology. The kids are trying to figure out how to best, manage their work from home, and then when a due date comes and goes, it's no longer on their calendar on the left side of their Schoology. So when it was due on Tuesday and they didn't get that done for whatever reason, it's no longer there for them to see, and out of sight, out of mind. And then parents are saying, what do you mean my kids have late assignments? So for now, let's move to Saturdays at midnight for their homework being done. I'd love to hear feedback and talk about that, but for this next week, that would be a really helpful thing. If there's something that won't work for, please let me know and we can go from there. With that being said, I would like to move towards Fridays being a day to catch up. I know several of you have done this, and I think it is awesome. Hopefully the goal is that it'll take some stress off of you as well, but that we say Fridays we're not giving new assignments. It might say, I know Denise did read for 20 minutes and email me the book you chose. I know that Terry had something that said, I want you to work on any missing work today. That's the kind of thing I want to use Friday for moving forward, so that kids and parents have a time to breathe and catch up. Some notes for the student union. Actually, before I do that, I want to move back to giving Fridays as a catch-up day. That should be our plan moving forward. I am going to ask one more thing, though, of us. So this coming Monday, I apologize if you've already done a bunch of your plans for next week, but because of the nature of the world around us right now and the stress of a lot of our families, and from what we're hearing from them, we want them to continue to feel good about the work that you are providing, and I think they feel really good about it. I think some of the struggles right now are that families have not figured out a new routine, and we want to let them do that. And I don't want to make them do that Saturday and Sunday. That needs to be a time where they can just relax at this point. There's so much to process right now as they're struggling, and we're struggling to figure out what this new set of standards look like as we do distance learning. So I'm going to ask that this coming Monday, on your lesson plans for families, I would love to see you say things like, take time to explore God's creation outside, do a craft, play a game with your family, spend time setting up a daily routine, and just giving them the idea that this is their day to pause and spend time together. With that being said, moving forward, we will continue to educate Monday through Thursday, with Friday being the catch-up day, and we can talk through that as we move forward, and maybe this needs to change, but for now I'd like to try this. So this coming week we'll have content Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Monday is the day we just talked about, Friday as a catch-up day. Keep in mind, in light of the end of the quarter staying the same, being this coming Friday, it's also really important that we have those pauses, because we've got kids that have reading requirements due. They have late assignments they're trying to keep up on or catch up on, and while they've done that to themselves maybe, we have to recognize that distance learning brings a whole new level of just attention to detail that a lot of our kids are missing, and so I think this would be very important right now. I do want to talk a little bit about student union. I think that we did an excellent job this first week, and I'm super proud of all of you. I think we need to keep in mind that we're just trying to launch and get this going and give people an education. To be honest, we didn't necessarily expect you to nail the accommodation piece, but now moving forward, we definitely need to provide the same accommodations for our kids that we do in the classroom. This can't be done just by Julianne, because can you imagine being Julianne doing her job, managing all the parapros, managing all the families and the emails and the Google meetings they've had, teaching her own kids, and then trying to accommodate all of your assignments. So it's really important that you take time to do the accommodations like you always do. We're asking you to talk to the student union staff before you assign big projects or assignments, so that they can step in and say, let's omit this or exempt this. Know that the student union coordinators will be giving out more exemptions than in the past during this time. And then the last couple things are just take the time to check in with Julianne or the coordinators so that you can say, hey, how are things going? Is there any emotional or social fallout I need to be aware of moving forward? And then we want to encourage you to consider ways to address the social and emotional health of all of our students and families. And some of the ways you can do that is with cross-cultural age activities or family-friendly things you can assign, not to add more, but in place of. So all that to say, I know that was a ton of information. I'm going to be giving it to you as well in a Google document that is bulleted points, but please feel free to get back to me with any questions, concerns, responses to this. And this comes from just a lot of positive interactions we've had with parents, but Julianne and Brenda and I sitting down today and just saying, hey, what's working, what's not working, how can we best support these kids and these parents moving forward? So thank you for all you do. I'm praying for all of you, and I'm just praying that you get a chance to really breathe and relax, and that with time, this is going to get easier, but it's going to certainly make us better. So thank you for all you do.